I'm here.
Ready or not, here we are. Good morning,
Good morning, Deborah Leanne.
Suzanne Joy. I have a delightful topic today.
Oh, please do indulge me.
I've been playing with this concept since I listened to the Pulse this week, Gene Key 16. And by the way, we are the co-creators of Tuning In. I'll get back to that, which is, I don't know, practical spirituality. Sometimes maybe not, but we're here to um, share our light in this time of the great change. I don't know how else we want to introduce ourselves at this moment because it keeps changing. Um, and we weave in Gene Keys by Richard Rudd. But I the pulse this week because it just like the wheel of life, it moves with the planets and the stars. And this is Gene Key 16, which interestingly, I don't remember what the shadow is.
Indifference.
Course, that human tendency to just, not my circus, not my monkeys. Drive by, looking at somebody going through some strife, and we're like, I'm not going to get involved. God, my mom always taught me that. Just don't even look. Don't look. And I'm like, my heart was just, that just felt wrong. Anyway, that indifference we've really gotten good at as a species, as a collective. Um, and we're starting to realize that there's this interconnectedness that if we're indifferent to any part of society, then what are we not paying attention to within? Um, it's all the same. But my thought is playing with that into its versatility is the gift, correct?
Mhm.
And
Right.
we get, which is a beautiful way if you want to explain how that, but I want to get into the city of mastery and the art of living well. So that's where I wanted to go. But
Yeah, go.
play,
Go, go.
yeah, but do you want to play with versatility? Like, how does that to me, we were always taught to kind of specialize,
Mm.
right? And hone in on a specific thing. Well, if you're good at this, this is what you should major in college, and you should do this for your career, and which isn't always, um, well, now we're seeing maybe wasn't always the best advice. Um, and my daughter and I were just exchanging some chats the last few days about our various multi-talented selves. And they're all little things like, teaching her as a kid to, and she has one now, a rubber band ball. So that when you corral all the rubber bands that you find, you put them in a little ball, and then you always know in the drawer in the kitchen where if you need a rubber band, they're always in the rubber band ball. That's what I grew up with. I taught it to my kids. She had one in her house, and she was cleaning and it bounced away, and she just thought of me, and it was just funny. So, um, about our various, I said, yes, you know me, so multi-talented with all these little things. She goes, Mom, it's whatever meaning you make of it. I thought, oh, okay. So I'm going to take that versatile mastery of various small things. I'm going to run with it. So,
Well, it's it's practiced adaptability. So just think of your all the things you may have dabbled in all your lives. Um, it's not chasing stuff, but now you're kind of starting to tune and starting to refine um, those things that light you up, um, the craft that you might have. I think of it for me as like research and development. It's the things that I've done and then I've tweaked it over time that has become mine, that works for me. Um, so it's
yeah,
got roots.
yeah. And and we're not so focused on only one thing. I think that was something that I learned early on is in my 20s and into my 30s is about work was my whole thing. It was all about my work, which was also, I have to admit, my creative outlet. I didn't know it at the time, but it left me. I had to go to a therapist before somebody pointed out, well, so tell me, what do you do on the weekends? And I go to the office. She was like, what else do you do on the weekends? Um, well, after I go to the office, sometimes I bring work home and then I'll read books around the stuff to do with my, and she just was like, okay, have you had the concept of personal life enter your, so I mean, I was so focused that I didn't have, I wasn't versatile in my living, which is what brings me to the art of living well.
Mm-hmm.
That concept that Richard uses in his audio transmission, it just struck me like, how am I living my life well? When, when do I live my life well? When can I find some examples of, ooh, this is living my life well? Because my life is going to be different from your life. And how do you live your life well? I mean, like, so. And the other thing that it dawned on me is I do great in the mornings. I really am conscious with my rituals and my practices and how I spend my time. Afternoons kind of get, I don't know. And then by the evenings, I'm like, I've noticed the last few weeks, I don't want to cook anything, so I snack. So I'll have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And oh, there's a couple pieces of asparagus left. I'll eat that. You know what I mean? A piece of cheese. It's like, it's not living life well. In my estimation, making myself a little plate of snacks and enjoying that with a glass of wine would be lovely, but not like such a random stuff, whatever I can find into my mouth kind of thing. So I'm playing with what does living life well in the evening? What if I turned off my screens at 7 and didn't watch any more Netflix, and that I had that last couple of hours of the day to go watch the sunset or, end the day the way I start the day. I don't know. I'm, but it was really an eye opening. I'm not living, that doesn't feel like I'm living my life well in the evening. So I want to shift that. So it was a great eye opening.
Yeah, I've been dancing with emotional health, mental health, physical health, and kind of checking in with myself. Because sometimes, when as humans we have these relational fields that we're in, and they play this really massive role, um, and affect us very deeply. And I'm also thinking, well, can I take ownership of my ship, of my beingness, and instead of being in a reactionary operating system, be in a more conscientious operating system, and kind of reeling it in. And I think this is what we're talking about with mastery, because you're then being conscious of your choices,
Yeah.
where you're putting your energy, how you're nourishing yourself, mind, body, and spirit. What is it in our life that we need to flourish? It's kind of like
Right. That we want
that
to
we
flourish.
want. Well, think about, when there's certain types of plants that need certain types of
Right.
environments, right?
Mhm.
I don't think that that's very different than us. But
Right.
for some reason, we pigeonhole ourselves into believing that, you know,
Yeah.
fit anywhere. Um, and so there's some clarity that we each get to gain about the kind of lifestyle that we want, the choices that we make for our own well-being, for the people that that we surround ourselves with, the energy that we
Consume, because we are consuming it, right? If we're even in the space, we're sharing space, we're breathing that in, we're feeling that. And it's either nourishing or it's dissonant. And I I I get it. It's like you if we're not tuning in though, literally. I find it funny that we chose that as our name of our program because it's striking me more and more often about, oh, well, stop, tune in. Is this what you want right now? Is this what you need right now? And it's so often that it just that little, like this morning, I did some deep breathing and I was like, oh man, that felt good. Thank you. So I'm like, I'm, I'm, if I tune in more often, which is also part of the art of contemplation with the pausing, right? And this month has been very much in the Gene Keys world about contemplation. So that pausing, and you were, and how would you bring in the mindfulness into mastery and living life well? I mean, is it the pausing?
I believe it's pausing and then recalibrating or pivoting when it's not in alignment.
Okay, so that check-in
Yeah.
allows us to go, ooh,
Oh, is that really what we want?
that, more of this, into this direction. Well, that's where we start listening to our inner
Yeah.
guidance system.
Well, and I think that's the big. I keep seeing test, test, test. Like, is this what we want?
Better than warning, warning, warning. But yeah, it is a we're in a learning space right now, and this is what's so fun is that we get to make mistakes and go, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do a little differently. As we go to bed in the evening, kind of go review and go, man, this was awesome. I really liked how that felt. And
And
how,
then we go, okay, thank you. More of this, please.
yeah, and that other thing, mm, yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it a little bit, I think let's tweak that. That doesn't It didn't feel that great. It didn't, the time I knew and I went in that direction anyway. Why do we do that? So, um, there was another, some of the words that Richard used. Well, when we do the mudra, I'll explain because of mastery. He talks about mastery is surrendering. It's a deep surrendering. And which is also, I think, like a tuning in. It's like, okay, where am I? Oh, just allow it to be what it is. Okay. And then we can get our bearings. We can center into ourselves again. So the mudra is fascinating. You take your index fingers and your thumbs and you touch them together first, and then you bring them together so that they're all four interlocked and touching. So both of your index fingers and your other fingers just like come together like in prayer form, like basket form. So it looks kind of like this, and it's very tight because your knuckles are together on your index fingers, your thumbs are touching, so everything is touching. And you can hold it down around your belly, like you're in receiving mode, and close your eyes and breathe in there. He said, and allow a little Buddha smile that's surrendering to the beauty. And that's the other thing is mastery sees beauty in everything. Even those things that you're like, oh, why did I do that? There's beauty there because it was a new realization, maybe. And you can move it up this mudra. You can practice. Does it want to go by your throat chakra? Because each of our different energy centers will have it'll have different play around our third eye, maybe. Hmm. That is mastery.
Thank you, Deborah Leanne.
Thank you, Suzanne Joy. Here is to the art of living well. A new challenge I've set for myself.
Yeah,
Join me.
thanks. Till next time.
Bye bye.